Welcome to The Art of a Movement, an evening symposium on disability, dance, and dynamism in artistic practice. My name is Hannah Wong, and I am an MArch student and the co-chair and co-founder of Designable, a student organization at the GSD with goals of promoting inclusive design and dismantling ableism through education. The International Day of People with Disabilities is on December 3rd. This annual observance was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in 1992 to promote an understanding of disability issues and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of persons with disabilities. I believe that access to art is a fundamental right, and that disabled people deserve beautiful things. No longer do we wish to be relegated to hidden, unmaintained, accessible routes, told to be grateful for clunky and ugly assistive technologies, or be excluded from traditional artistic spaces, including museums, galleries, theaters, studios, and design schools.
Well, I'm the Silent Rhythm Executive Director. It originally started as a way to teach people who were deaf how to dance salsa, Latin dance. My journey to learning how to dance was not an easy one, so Silent Rhythm was set up as a way to help make the dance journey more accessible and inclusive for people with disabilities. Dancing is such a powerful tool for connecting people, and because of that, I realized that dancing is a way to promote inclusion for people with disabilities in the art. I want to try to teach people how to dance together, no matter where you come from or what you may be able to do or not do. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. Thank you.
My company is Heidi Latsky Dance. So this is a short compilation of On Display Global. And they're very quick images of the people all over the world who have joined in this initiative. The initiative is done in silence. It's mostly still like a sculpture. We did it at the Institute of Contemporary Art. We're showing the United Nations. There's a big group of people in their lobby, and the commissioner for the mayor's office for people with disabilities, who's a wheelchair user, is moving through the space.
My name is Rosa Weinberg. I thought I would tell the story of how my students, colleagues, and I started to work with Heidi Latsky Dance. I'm a designer, maker, and educator. In my teaching and creative practice, I'm most passionate about design for the body, whether it's a nail project about feminism, a piece of wearable tech to help a dancer visualize touch, or inventing a mechanism to rethink how clothing can be worn. I love how the body interacts with built projects. These threads all came together when my colleague Amra Rita stumbled upon Heidi Latsky Dance at the ICA, and then Heidi Latsky Dance stumbled upon his photos on Instagram. My colleague Emily Glass and I were going to teach a fashion studio, and we did, but with a twist. Students would interview dancers in Heidi Latsky Dance over Skype, and then create a personalized architectural wearable based on insights from multiple interviews and feedback sessions, which would be used in performances on display. This was a project from one of the first studios I taught with Emily Glass. Students would come to the shows in New York City and finally get to meet the dancers in person. Those other interviews were over Skype.
On Display Global is a movement installation that is performed by communities all over the world in honor of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on December 3rd every year. We became an official ambassador of the work. We've had the chance to build our community of partners and performers, and we've come to understand what does it mean to have a disability? What does it mean to identify that way and to be on display in a physical practice, to then be able to understand that disability is a spectrum and diverse and complex and personal, and that a disability may not be visible.
And imagine that the back of your mouth is just floating up towards the top of your head. And the top of your head is floating up towards your hands. Holding our breath, if we want to use our hands to help us, we can. Holding our inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep inhale. And as you exhale, your skin pushes out towards your hands. Big breath in. Excellent. Big breath out. And slowly move your hands.
We are so excited that this year will be our first year in a hybrid setting. So the work will be performed on Saturday, December 3rd, at the Memorial Hall Transept. And really, I want to just a huge shout out to Pin and Benson, snobs, the Kenzo Tange Pavilion Program Curators, who came to us at the beginning of the semester to say, we'd love to have dance as part of this program. This has become a catalyst now for programming a series of events, including this one for these 4 days. So this has really been a very generative collaboration.
Ladies may be seated, standing, sliding, or they stepping.
My name is Sarah Hendren, and I'm associate professor at Olin College of Engineering. I landed at Olin, I sort of pitched them my role as someone who could teach and facilitate assistive technology, so prosthetics, adaptive gear. In in engineering, that realm is sort of known as rehabilitation engineering. It is a long field of kind of post-war efforts for replacement parts for the body. And so I pitched my role to Olin to say, yeah, so rehab engineering gives us lots of great gear. But it's actually a creative mix of art, design, and engineering that give us better questions about the human body. What is normalcy? What is wholeness? What is a life worth living? And how do we recognize it? And then how do we build for it a desirable future? We could use the tools that we make, the collaborations, the kind of opening, the conviviality, especially of the arts, to see one another with different eyes. Students built for her this ramp, this kind of humble engineering object, but for stage, not for getting into a building. So Alice and her partner Laurel Lawson are now dancing with this kind of beautiful pendulum swing, just using that inclined plane, acceleration, resistance to make beautiful movement. But you see, right, that making a non-useful object is actually sometimes the most useful of all, because you are opening a kind of unresolved set of questions. My sense is that people do a straight to urgency kind of matter and think like, well, if we give better information, if we press the urgency of the issue, then more people will, what's the theory of change? Will be convinced, will be persuaded to act. And I think when you circumvent wonder, you actually lose people in that understanding of disability. In other words, the thing that art can do most of all is to estrange you from the familiar and therefore activate that sense of what is this miraculous thing called the body doing in all of its states.
With the dancers in Heidi Latsky Dance, they're all artists themselves. And when my students work with them, they're working with them both to understand the dancers' identities conceptually and to take ideas from that, which can drive these expressive prosthetics for the dancers. So the students are also getting to know these dancers' bodies.
What do you think makes a good partnership, especially when you're thinking about being a good ally to the disability community while also being someone who's in charge of your own artistic practice and have your own vision and goals for what things should or can look like versus what someone's either physical limitations might allow them to do?
A better partnership is the openness with the partner to hear criticism. Mm-hmm. It's something about the respect we have for each other and being able to serve the work.
Mm-hmm. I find that the best type of partnership is where if you to have a disability-led partnership, because one of the things you often hear in the disability rights movement is nothing about us without us. Bring in the perspective of people with disability. What do they want to see when they're in the audience? What are the challenges they have when accessing dance?
Elizabeth, I wanted to ask you about Harvard Dance Center and thinking about what it means to be involved as an institution like Harvard, and what it means for you personally and for the Dance Center to be involved in kind of projects with Heidi and with other artists that are centered around projects that involve disability.
It's been very important specifically to bring artists who are themselves, who identify as having a disability. And so for students to start to think about disability as an identity, to think about what disability culture mean, to start to participate in the disability art movement, and to see disability as an opportunity for creativity and innovation.